somebody took an action or failed to take an action that resulted in somebody else's death.
If you have lost a loved one as a result of someone else's actions, can you collect damages for wrongful death? We're going to find out right now on this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest is Utah attorney Kevin Swenson. I want to remind you that if you want to ask Kevin questions about your situation, it's easy. Go to askthelawyers.com, click the button up top that says Ask a Lawyer, or you can always call the phone number you'll see at the top of the screen. Kevin, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
First off, what does wrongful death mean as far as the law is concerned?
Wrongful death means that somebody took an action or failed to take an action that resulted in somebody else's death, and that those actions were not something that was done as a normal person would do it. So they were negligent in the way they did it, or negligent in failing to act.
So is a wrongful death case different from a catastrophic injury case? And if so, how?
Yeah, so they are different because in a lot of different ways, but a catastrophic injury case continues for a lot longer. I mean, in a wrongful death case, the death occurs, you pretty much know what the damages are and what the loss is. It's the loss of the life of that individual. With a catastrophic injury, those kind of damages go on for a long period of time. And, you need continuing medical care, you need continuing psychological care, but different things that you're going to need throughout your life, additional surgeries, all those kind of things. So it changes how you handle a case and how quickly you can handle a case.
Can you give us some examples of some of the wrongful death cases that you've seen there in Utah?
Yeah, some of the wrongful death cases. I mean, we've seen examples of, somebody at work where a coworker caused a problem that resulted in somebody, for example, falling off a roof, or another contractor on the job leaving something in the way that caused an electrocution of an individual. You've got wrongful death just in a car crash case. If somebody's driving and they're careless and they cause a crash that results in the death of a person, that's a wrongful death. You also see it in medical malpractice cases where a doctor or some healthcare provider does something or doesn't do something that results in death. So it can cover a lot of different areas.
So how does somebody know if they have a case, a wrongful death case? And what are some of the unique challenges in proving that wrongful death occurred?
Well, you have to have, liability against the person who you believed caused the death. I mean, just because somebody dies, that doesn't make it a wrongful death. Or, if somebody runs into your car, but they're at fault and they die, there's not a claim there. You still have to establish that the act caused that individual's death and that act was negligence. So those are the elements you're looking for in a wrongful death.
And how difficult is that burden of proof?
The burden of proof is a preponderance of the evidence. So in a civil case, you just have to prove that it was more likely than not the actions of that individual that caused the death. So it's a much lower standard than a criminal standard where you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's still a fair amount of work that has to be done in making sure that you prove all of the elements.
And if you do meet that proof, what are some of the damages that somebody can recover in a wrongful death case?
Well, you can recover damages for what are called the economic damages, what that individual would have continued to contribute to their family, how they were helping the family, what they were doing that way financially or supporting others. There are also the non-economic damages, the general damages, or the the intangible damages. So not something you can just add up on a spreadsheet, but it's the loss of the companionship of that individual. It's the inability to be with that person and have that person in your life. So you can also have those type of damages.
And why is it so important to have an experienced wrongful death attorney? And what do you offer your clients?
Yeah, it's important to have somebody who knows the steps because you do have a number of elements that you have to prove. You have to know how to get there, how to prove each of those elements, what you're looking for, when you're looking for it, what's going away, what evidence is being preserved, and make sure that you get that information quickly. You put it together in an experienced way and in a way that you can present it to a jury to show that you do meet all of those elements. And that's something that, you can get with experience and with having handled those types of cases. And something we've done a number of times in wrongful death cases, is put that case together and present it to the fact finder so that you can make that type of determination and get the case resolved either through trial or a settlement.
And what are some of the questions that people should be asking when choosing the right attorney for their case?
They should be looking at questions like, have they done this before? Do they have experience with it? And if they have experience, do they have good results with it? Anybody can put up a sign and do any kind of legal work that they want if they're an attorney. I mean, I could put up a sign and start doing wills and trusts tomorrow, even though I don't know much about that area. And so people do that with personal injury as well. You'll see somebody advertising that they do criminal work, they do wills and trusts, and they also do personal injury. And it's a tougher area than to be able to spend a little bit of your time in it and be really good at it.
Yeah, it shows why that vetting process is so important. Kevin, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been lawyer Kevin Swenson. I want to remind you, if you'd like to ask Kevin questions about your situation, go to askthelawyer.com, click the button at the top of the page that says Ask a Lawyer, and it'll walk you through the very simple process. Thanks for watching. I'm Molly Hendrickson for Ask the Lawyers.